I don't know. What are we going to do with this video? We talking about movies perhaps that we have recommended to Sam that she hadn't seen, and maybe she's caught up with some. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've got two.
Okay.
So...
How's it going, everybody? Glenn here from Good Movie Monday, Ben from Good Movie Monday, Sam from Good Movie Monday. How are you two?
Good, thank you.
Good.
So
Divided by the wink that I gave earlier.
That would have been a great moment for like one of my little text messages to pop up on my screen and go ding.
Can you guys? Do you have control of both eyes when you wink? Like I can only do one. I can't do the other one.
Oops.
I think I can do both.
Like, as in, like.
Yeah, can't do it. I can't close the eye.
Do you have Bell's palsy?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that a symptom?
If I had,
it looks like you've had a stroke, but it wears off after like a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If I had to spend my life on a stretcher, I'd be pretty sick of the palsy too. Yeah, no, I can't. And I have. I went to Fantastic Fest one year. One of the activities that you can do when you go to Fantastic Fest is they take you to a gun range because you're in Texas and shooting guns is like a religion there. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't aim for shit. And I realized that when I held the gun, I was always like looking at the gun. And so it was always going like, no, I ended up just like with the shotgun. I was like, I'm just firing from the hip. It's a scatter gun. I should come close somehow.
Speaking of coordination, I don't know why this made me think of it, but it did. So your coordination with the gun. There's a great little video that I think I've put it on our TikTok account. And on the episode of Good Movie Monday, I mentioned an actor called Patrick Kilpatrick who was in Free Willy as the part 3. He's in a Van Damme movie recently based on a submarine. It's a Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren film.
I'm pretty sure he's in Death Warrant as well.
He might be. But there's this great scene that he's sitting there flipping through a book, right? You know when you flip through a book, you go like, like that, and you flip. You lick your thumb and you flip.
I've never done that in my entire life.
But do you know what I mean? Like people do it.
I have seen it in movies.
I find it grotty. Anyway, this guy, he's got the book in front of him. He goes like this. He goes, lick, flip.
Oh.
And like I find that hilarious. Maybe I'll insert it. Maybe I'll
choice. He was like, I'm not going to tell anyone, but I'm going to leave it there for the director.
Yeah.
So when he's in the editing room, hey,
I'm gonna create a bit of work for myself on my little screen here. Here it is. Have a look.
There it is.
Yep. See. Nice timing, Sam. Did you miss it, Ben?
Did something happen?
Let's stop fucking around. Let's stop mucking around. Sam, what have you got for us there? What have we talked about that you hadn't seen than you have since?
I have two movies. I watched Ghost, which we talked about. So I guess we can talk about that one first.
Is it the greatest love story ever told?
I think I mentioned this when we talked about it. I thought it was a romance drama. And I had no idea that there was like a crime. I didn't know he was murdered. I didn't know that like any of it really. I just thought
the thriller aspect. Yeah.
And it blew me away. I think I never saw it because I thought I already knew it because everyone's talked about it so much, right? But I'm really glad I did see it because it was really good.
And it's also hysterically funny at the same time. The Whoopi Goldberg stuff is great.
She's amazing in it, yeah. And it's like like good 1990, so it's kind of like that perfect time in her career as well.
The whole Henry VIII stuff, like Henry VIII, I am.
That was so funny. I was like, I'd never seen that side of him before. That I was just like, wow, like. Because, him, it's funny because, like, to kind of segue into the other movie that I watched, I always got Patrick Swayze and Val Kilmer mixed up all the time. Like not like mentally, it's like this subconscious thing where you just always like I just always associated them together. And so
a terrific dancer, a terrific dirty dancer.
So yeah, so that was my second film, was that documentary. But I don't know if we talked about that in like if it was just us.
It doesn't matter.
But you guys talked about that.
Stick with Ghost just for a minute.
Yeah.
Remember we spoke about that guy that resided on the carriage, the really weirdo, like what?
Vincent Schiavelli.
Yes.
Yeah.
How good is he?
So yeah, it was like that one scene. Yeah, that one scene where like he just stands up and walks directly towards you. You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, he's totally menacing, like really menacing.
Mm.
And remember, I revealed a spoiler, so I'm sure it didn't matter to you, but the way Tony Goldwyn's character cops it in the end with the window.
Yes.
As a kid, that image of the blood splat is really, really precisely executed. It's beautiful.
I think that I mean, they kind of because they go through it quite quickly, so the whole mystery element of it, I suppose, isn't a huge aspect of the film, because they kind of answer it quite quickly, because he's obviously following them around and then he finds out all this stuff, and then
when the movie was released, though, it was definitely a twist. Like it came unexpectedly.
Yeah,
to me anyway.
And I definitely did.
I do remember that the guy that mugs him. I remember it being a big deal when I watched The Stand, and he's the Rat Man. I was like, it's the guy from Ghost.
Oh, really?
Who was that? Do you know who it is?
I don't know who the actor is, but he's in The Stand. He's the Rat Man. He's like Miguel Ferrer's kind of second. He's high up in Randall Flagg's.
I think I've got a mental image of him. I just want to.
He's got he's got a great voice. That guy.
Yes. Of course, he's in so many movies.
Yeah, he's in a ton of stuff.
Oh, fucking hell. I see his face here. I don't see his name.
And he's the first guy when Patrick Swayze learns how to touch things. He's the first one to cop it.
Yeah.
Rick Alives.
What's his name?
Rick Alives. Alives.
Rick Alives. Sounds like a weird 90s TV series, like a mockumentary TV series.
I'm going to look him up, see what else he's in. He was a comedian and he died in 1995.
I had no idea. I had no idea about either of those things.
Stand-up comedian, and his filmography: Cannonball Run, he played Mad Dog. Street Smart. Spike of Bensonhurst with Sasha Mitchell. Mystery Train. Godfather Part 3. Fuck, he's in quite a lot. Waterworld. And he plays the voice of a cockroach in Joe's Apartment.
That makes a lot of sense. That was one of his last movies.
There you go.
Wow.
Excellent.
Mondo, New York, Comic in the Park. Oh, he's in Mystery Train. I forgot about that.
There you go. Well, anyway, we learn something every day. And before we move on to Val, weren't you shocked at how long Demi Moore's neck is? That scene at the end when he's about to leave, that's the scene where every freaking mum on the planet needed tissues in the theater because it was so heartbreaking. And then she leans forward to kiss him and her neck just keeps going.
I did not notice that, to be honest. But next time I will.
Because she had that really short sort of hair.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I remember my mum looking at me going, she's got a freaking long neck. I'm like, she does. God damn it.
That's where the phrase wind your neck in came from.
Yeah, it's like fucking holding the stalk of celery at the zoo and the giraffe comes over.
Use your own selfie stick.
Put the camera in your mouth. Anyway, Val, the documentary, Val Kilmer's very personal documentary. What do you think of that?
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Actually one of the best films or one of the most emotional films I've watched in a long time.
Did it change your perception of him? Like, did you have a preconceived notion of him beforehand?
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, I was one of those people that really had only heard about him being a difficult person.
Yeah. I'm sure he was, though. I'm sure he still was.
Yeah, I'm sure that documentary is edited.
Yeah, of
A lot
course.
of that
Yeah.
stuff.
But still, you're able to see a different side, which really did change whether he was difficult or not. I think you still felt for him.
It was
really
like when Kiss Kiss Bang Bang came out, and he popped up in that, and I remember thinking, "Fuck, he's been away for a long time."
Yeah, I remember that too.
Like, how good is Val Kilmer? Like, it was like because he'd done Batman and stuff like that, you kind of forgot how good of an actor he actually was. Like, he almost became a caricature of himself.
And I think in Batman too, he like that when he was talking about doing Batman, his performance in Batman kind of made more sense now, because that one in particular, people never really kind of talked about much, or it wasn't really a lot of people's favorite out of them.
I think it's a very underrated movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I watched it not that long ago, and it does hold up.
Yeah, I think its problem is it's not as iconic as the Tim Burton ones, and it's not as bad as the George Clooney one.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's trapped in limbo because Tim Burton was directing that to a point, and he left the production, and Joel Schumacher took over. So there's still a lot of the Tim Burton darkness in there, which I really, really like.
Yeah.
But then you can see where the Schumacher stuff comes in, because I think originally Robin Williams was the Riddler, and somewhere along the line when Tim Burton left, that's when the casting got fucked up and changed around.
I'm sure they went, I did this to work with Tim Burton.
Well, that's why Michael Keaton dropped out, because he was all ready for it. And then, what's his name? Billy Dean Williams cracked the shits because he was promised the third film as the lead villain, because he was Harvey Dent in the first two, or in the first one.
Yeah.
And they went with Tommy Lee Jones. So they completely whitewashed his character, even though comic books it was different. But they'd promised him a third film, and he never got it. But
that's so weird.
The Val Kilmer doco is great, and it gave context to just, even if he was difficult, it gave context to why he was difficult too. He'd had this particular upbringing, his attention to detail and his love for the craft kind of informed that personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of those guys, funnily enough, who, like Marlon Brando, who he does kind of talk about. Like, Marlon Brando was like notorious for doing this kind of thing at the start. He'd give you 3 takes, and if you couldn't tell which was the good one, then he just lost all respect for you and wouldn't just give you a shit. He'd just go, I don't care.
Yeah.
And like Val Kilmer's kind of like one of those. Like you hear that story about Bruce Willis cracking the shits with Kevin Smith in Cop Out, when he's like, he didn't know anything about the lenses or anything. He's like, what kind of a, and admit, like, Kevin Smith is a bit lazy as a film fan. Like, I remember reading all that stuff about him. He never watched any of the kind of classic films because he's like, well, all the movies I like, they ripped those movies off. So I have kind of seen them. And you're like,
but also, I mean, if you've been to film school, it's very wanky, pretentious kind of thing, directing. Like, the actual reality of a director is you don't need to know what the lenses are, because you have a cinematographer that you rely on.
You delegate the roles to the people that you hire or you want to work on it.
Kevin Smith doesn't need to know the lenses, so long as his photographer does.
I think that you should know. You should,
but you don't need to.
You should be able to do the job of everyone that you've hired, just in case. So you know if they're doing a shit job or not.
Well, I agree with the sentiment. I just don't think realistically that's how it works anymore. It may have once upon a time.
Well, look, it certainly doesn't there are a lot, but there are a lot of directors that are bad directors or that are mediocre directors who don't know that stuff. But I think if you look at the big names, if you look at like Martin Scorsese and Christopher Nolan and
of course
that Quentin Tarantino, like, those guys know they know that stuff. The ones that
But do they know it out of just experience, or
maybe they did learn on the job?
Well, I would argue that Tarantino doesn't know a lot of what the other people do. I think he talks the talk, but I don't think he could walk the walk. And
well, I don't know. He may not know. Yeah, he may be a bit different, but he may not know what this lens does or what this does, but he could tell you exactly what this has to look like.
well, no, exactly that. But that's what I'm getting at.
Exactly like
That's
this. Not.
But that's what I'm getting at. They wouldn't know how to achieve it, but they know they want it, and therefore they rely on the people in charge of that
to do it. Yeah, but I think a lot of the time, like that's one of the complaints that Timothy Oliphant used to have, is that the directors would shoot that you get over the shoulder, you know, do the wide, do the close up. They do it 100 different times because they didn't know what they wanted, and they would give them all these options in the edit. Whereas Tarantino is one and done because he knows exactly what it wants, where it's going to go, how it's going to work. It's all 100% mapped out. It's not like a Kubrick. Like a Kubrick is the opposite. He'd be like, I want to do 200 takes of this. Oh, the fly landed on your nose. Let's we do that again. Can we get the fly? Get the fly wrangler in here. We need the fly to land on his nose. No, actually, I don't like the fly on his nose. Let's do it again.
Anyway, we've completely like strayed away from the film. And look, we'll wrap it up in a second.
You said it was just a free flowing conversation.
It is a free-flowing conversation. That's nothing wrong with that. But I do want to just mention that Ben, you, myself, and Jarrett talked about the other film that's very similar called Kid 90, which, if you haven't seen that, Sam, I found to be equally as effective and possibly just as moving. So
okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. I did see it on Prime. So
it's much more of a fly on the wall kind of thing. Because she also took a video camera everywhere she went, documented everything, but she just happened to be amongst like that brat pack of Hollywood elite sort of young actors cool. and captured so much. Yeah.
And the footage in this, it just felt like he made a movie of his life. Like
he did.
It's weird though, because, you know, there's a lot of, you know, everyone films things in their day-to-day life, but the way that he filmed it, it made it feel.
He did it before we all had camera phones.
Yeah.
And social media. It was his life's work. And what you're saying about what we were talking about him being difficult, he does at the end of the film acknowledge that he has been a prick in the past and he wouldn't change a thing. You know, remember he said, he goes, no, I've been difficult, I've been this, I've been that, and I wouldn't change any of it.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway. Awesome. Well, there you go. 2 movies that we've talked about that you've caught up on. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We should do that again sometime. You're a very, very busy girl, so we won't do it. We won't do it in a hurry.
I can do 2. two a week.
We should do one where we've caught up on movies that Santa's recommended.
Definitely should.
Yeah, ones you haven't seen though. You've seen most of them.
Oh, you'd be surprised what Ben and I haven't seen.
I pretend. Most of the time Glenn's talking about stuff I've never even heard of.
Well, see, the thing is, Sam, we only talk about the stuff we have seen. So imagine there's got to be lots of stuff we haven't.
I do a lot of nodding and smiling on this show.
All right, let's catch up on Thursday for some lucky dipping. Until then, thanks, guys.